Welcome to episode 42 of Lakeshore Christian Church's Midweek Video Podcast. I'm Pastor Randy Cordell. We're coming to you live from our studio at our Antioch campus here in beautiful Nashville, Tennessee. We're glad you're joining us today. If you haven't already done so, hit that subscribe button. You might want to hit that notification bell as well so that you get notified every time we post a new podcast. We come to you live at noon on Wednesdays, and then it's archived after that or posted after that on most popular podcast platforms. You can go back and catch it later. On the podcast, we are continuing our time together looking at the message series that we're doing here at Lakeshore on Sundays. And this past Sunday, we introduced a new series that we're going to be doing throughout the summer called Summer in the Psalms. The book of Psalms is a beautiful book, a collection of poems and songs that were written and prayers that were written, many of them put to music. It's often called the hymn book for Israel's worship of God. They would use the Psalms in their worship services in the tabernacle, the temple, and the synagogues. And even today, many of them are prayed out loud during the services or sung as songs during the services of their worship of God. Since they weren't just studied or read, but used in those ways, it was a big part of how they were raised to honor God and serve God and give praise to God was through the Psalms. So each week we're going to be looking at a different psalm. Now there are 150 psalms, so we're not going to cover them all in one summer. We've selected certain ones that we're going to be doing. And in these psalms that we selected, if you took them all, you would get the full picture of this. But in the ones that we selected to do for this series, we're going to see the whole gamut of different emotions, joy, fear, anticipation, wisdom. We're going to see all these different things that the Psalms address and all the different emotions that are expressed in the Psalms, and then how those emotions and those feelings and those circumstances in life can be used to push us toward God instead of taking us away from God. And the psalmist has done a great job with that. The book of Psalms is unique in a lot of ways. One of the ways it's unique is that it's a collection that actually makes up 5 books of Psalms. David is the main author, though there are about 8 authors of all the Psalms. David is the author of about 73 of the 150 total Psalms. So as we look at the Psalms, we see it's like a roadmap to navigate through the thoughts and the emotions that we deal with in everyday life. I love what Eugene Peterson said about the Psalms. He said this: people look into mirrors to see how they look. They look into the Psalms to find out who they are. A mirror is an excellent way to learn about our appearance. The Psalms are the biblical way to discover ourselves. A mirror shows us the shape of our nose and the curve of our chin, things we otherwise know only through the reports of others. The Psalms show us the shape of our souls and the curve of our sin, realities deep within us, hidden and obscured, for which we need focus and names. So the Psalms certainly serve that purpose for us. And I was excited to begin this past Sunday with Psalm 1. We started with a psalm that's only 6 verses long, this first psalm. I don't want to read through it again as a review. If you missed last week's message on Sunday here at Lakeshore, you could go back and catch that on our YouTube channel. But in Psalm 1, it says this: "Blessed is the one who does not walk in step with the wicked, or stand in the way that sinners take, or sit in the seat in the company of mockers, but whose delight is in the law of the Lord, and who meditates on his law day and night. That person's like a tree planted by the streams of water, which yields its fruit in season, whose leaf does not wither, whatever they do prospers. Not so the wicked, they are like the chaff that the wind blows away. Therefore the wicked will not stand in the judgment, nor sinners in the assembly of the righteous. For the Lord watches over the way of the righteous, but the way of the wicked leads to destruction." So you see this contrast starting off right away in Psalm 1. It's the way or the lifestyle of the righteous and the way or the lifestyle of the wicked. And he contrasts those two to show the great benefits of walking rightly with God and the great peril of walking in wickedness, walking away from God and God's plan or God's will for our lives. So this doesn't leave any middle ground, and I think for us that's probably our biggest struggle because we like the middle ground. We like being able to pick and choose sometimes, depending on what's going on in our lives. But he says there's only one of two choices that you can make, either the way of the righteous or the way of the wicked. Jesus affirms this later on in Matthew chapter 7. He said this, "Enter by the narrow gate, for the gate is wide and the way is easy that leads to destruction, and those who enter it are many. For the gate is narrow and the way is hard that leads to life, and those who find it are few." So Psalm 1 acts as a gatekeeper. In fact, it's like an entranceway into the way of the righteous or an understanding of the way of the wicked. And it's also an entranceway into the rest of the book of Psalms, the rest of the Psalms that we have recorded. It's an entryway into understanding what the way of righteousness looks like and what the way of wickedness looks like. And if we're going to be the people that are right with God, that's what righteousness means, that which is right with God, then we need to be rooted in God's word. And that's a big part of what he's saying here in Psalm 1. We can be like a tree, he says, planted by streams of water that yields its fruit in season. It's bearing the good fruit that the tree is designed to bear. Well, our lives can be like that. We can be living life that bears good fruit for God, but we have this path we need to choose to take to bear that good fruit. It's the path or the way of the righteous. And he says if we take that path, it is the blessed path. It is the way to experience the blessings of God in life. I know there are a lot of times people say, "Well, I wish my life was like that person or that person. They seem to be so blessed. They seem to have such a good life." And a lot of that has to do with the choices that they've made along the way. Everybody's life has struggles. Everybody's life has challenges to try to overcome. But the blessed life, when we face those struggles and those challenges, the blessed life has the blessing of God, even in the midst of the challenges, the presence and the power and the provision of God. As we face those things and we have to struggle through, we have him there with us. We have his guidance, his direction. And we valued that teaching that he gives us so much that we have applied it, and that leads to that blessed life. He said the blessed life comes to those whose delight is in the law of the Lord. That word delight means we're drawn to it. We recognize the value of it, and we crave it. We want it more and more because we see how much it blesses us to follow his teachings. The law of the Lord would just be the instruction of God. As the Psalms were written, they didn't have everything we have. We now have the full Old Testament and New Testament, and we have more of the instruction of the Lord that we can apply to our lives. And the more of it we know, and the more of it we live out, the more we can experience this blessing if we delight in his word. If you ever have things that delight you, you understand it's something that you want more of. And that's what he wants God's word to be for us. He wants it to be something that we want more and more of it, which means there would be this discipline then to read the word, to spend time with the word. It says on that law, this person who is blessed would meditate on it. Meditating means spending time with it, turning it over in your mind, looking at how it applies to everyday life and choices that you're making. That meditation is more than just reading it casually, more than just scanning the pages. It's taking it into not only your mind, but into your heart, and then seeing how you live it out, and then how it works when you live it out, how it brings the joy, how it brings the delight, how it brings the blessings of God when you leave it out. We have to internalize it and then live it out to experience those blessings in it. Well, he paints that beautiful picture then of the tree planted by streams of water, and that's really the goal of this life that he's talking about in Psalm 1, the way of the righteous. It's a way where we experience this fruit-bearing life with the good things that we're producing in life. It blesses our family when we're walking in this right way. It blesses our friends, those that are around us, our co-workers. We become a blessing to the world that God created, and he intends for us to be that blessing. And again, it doesn't mean there are no struggles. It means that we know where to go in the time of struggle. We know what instruction to go to and to follow when we're struggling. We can get back on track with learning again and spending time with God's Word and applying it to our lives. This next week, Mike Swartz is going to be bringing the message. He's our Smyrna campus pastor. He's going to be bringing the message from Psalm 2. And in Psalm 2, it's more of a focus on the reign of the Lord and how He is righteous and worthy of reigning and ruling in our lives and in this world. I hope you'll be able to be with us. We have services each Sunday at the Antioch campus at 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. We have services at the Smyrna campus at 10 a.m. on Sunday mornings. Those services are designed for all those who might be new to Christianity, but also, no matter how deep you are in your walk with Christ already, our services are designed for us to continue to learn and grow and develop from whatever place we're starting from. So throughout the whole summer, we're going to be dealing with these different Psalms, and it's going to teach us the full picture of how God gives us His Word, gives us His instruction that applies to every aspect of our lives. So I hope you'll be able to join us throughout the summer. If you can't be here in person, we live stream our services on Sunday mornings at 9 a.m. We want that to be available for you if you're not local especially, but maybe if you are local and you're not able to be with us for reason of illness or something like that, you can still tune in online and still get the message that day, still have that connection with the church family here at Lakeshore. Well, I also want to remind you we've got some things coming up for the summer as well that you need to go ahead and register for in advance. We've got all elementary camp at White Mills Christian Camp, June the 4th through the 9th. That's for elementary age, of course. And then we've got CIY Mix, which is for middle schoolers. It's June the 19th through the 23rd at Lee University. And CIY Move for our high schoolers is July the 23rd through the 28th. That's also at Lee University. And those things need to be registered for in advance. We will love having those programs available for our young people, but you have to take advantage of it by getting them signed up, making sure they are ready to go on those dates. We also have coming up on the 21st of May, we're going to be recognizing and honoring our high school graduates. We would love to have all of our high school graduates present for that. We don't want to miss anybody. So if you have a high school senior that's graduating this year, please be sure you let us know that you want to have them included and recognized that day. You can email us at admin@lakeshorechristian.com, and that will be able to get them on the list and make sure they are included with that recognition on graduation Sunday. We have a lot of other exciting events going on. We want you to follow us on social media. You can follow us on Facebook and Instagram. We try to keep those announcements out there, keep everybody up to date on what's going on so that you can not miss anything that's happening here at Lakeshore. I'm excited because even though I'm not going to be here this Sunday, I am able to celebrate with my wife, Sue Ann. We're going to be celebrating, tomorrow is actually our anniversary, May the 18th, 47 years of marriage. Yes, we were very young when we got married. That's how we were able to still be as young as we are, celebrating 47 years. I jokingly said last Sunday that we were only 12 years old when we got married. Of course, that's not true, though, in Georgia, you may have been able to do that. That's where we were at the time when we got married, down in Georgia. But we were very young. We were 18 years old. And a lot of times people ask, what's the secret to that long marriage, to being able to celebrate 47 years of marriage? And I've got to tell you, there's no secret. It's a commitment. It's a covenant that you enter into between God and your spouse and you. It's an agreement that you make that you're going to commit your life to each other, and you're going to be faithful to that commitment for life. It doesn't mean there's never a struggle or there's never disappointment or you always do everything right, or you just happen to be lucky and find that right person, and that's why you've made it that long. Well, I do believe I have the person God wanted for me to be married to. Sue Ann is that mate that I believe God wanted me to be married to. And I believe that though she may not have considered this at first, I believe I'm the one that God wanted for Sue Ann to be married to. But even with that, it's still going to require commitment, hard work, sacrifice. And for Sue Ann and I, we made that decision right up front that God was going to be first in our marriage. I believe that's really the key, because when you're choosing to honor God, then you honor the covenant you make with God. And marriage is that covenant that you enter into before God and before others when you say, I do in marriage. So Sue Ann and I have been committed to honoring those promises that we made, the covenant that we entered into, because more than anything else, marriage is supposed to reflect a relationship between Christ and his church. We want the world to see that reflected in our marriage. And so through all the struggles and through all the challenges that we faced, and there have been a lot of them over the years, we've also been very blessed because when you honor God, he honors those choices that you're making. And when you do mess up, when there are failures, when there are struggles, his grace is more than enough. You don't have to give up. You don't have to quit. You don't have to walk away from it. With God's help, you can work through and have those experience his grace, experience his forgiveness, and then be able to offer that to your spouse as well. Because we all will need that. No marriage is going to last without grace and forgiveness along the way. And so I'm thankful to have the spouse that I have. Sue Ann has been an amazing wife, an amazing mother to our kids, and we're looking forward to that celebration over the next few days as we celebrate 47 years of marriage. We're going to miss being here on Sunday, but we look forward to being back with you again the following Sunday. And I know that Mike Schwartz is going to do a great job in bringing the message from Psalm 2 this coming Sunday. We invite you to come and be with us as we continue to connect, grow, and serve here at Lakeshore Christian Church. Thanks for joining us today.